Hey guys, how you doing? This is JP Sarri coming to you once again with another episode of Age of Heroes, my podcast. And episode is going to be the first one that is going to have of course, a video. It's going to be a video podcast for YouTube. On the rest, on iTunes, Stitcher, Spreaker, all of that is just their normal podcast. So you can download it there as well. You can hear it as well. But for those that come to YouTube and like to watch the videos, of course, this is the format. So again, like I mentioned before, this is a new chapter in my life. I'm starting something new and see how things unfold. Of course, this is going to evolve. This is going to get better as time goes along. We will improve the quality of the podcast and the content, of course, and the setup. So right now I'm just doing it pretty much from the peacefulness of my home and see how things unfold. So bear with me while we work this out, and I know we'll get far. But today I want to talk about starting this week, of course, and the pretty much the celebration of Martin Luther King Day, who was one of the greatest men in American history, for what he stand, for what his beliefs were, and also for what he represented for not only for African Americans, for America as a whole. And I want to talk about a little bit in the matter. Of course, try not to be political here. That's not the purpose of this podcast. Has never been. But it's always important to talk about some of the elements, some of the parts that really are important, for us. As we know, recently there was actually on the past weekend on Friday there was a march. There were two marches in Washington D.C. and of course, bear with me. I'm not trying to be political here, but there was a march, of course, for march pro-life in regards to against abortion. Something that is near to my heart as well. I'm pro-life, but I respect those that don't. They're not. But also there was a march for indigenous people in Washington D.C. So there was this march. Of course, there was a problem there, as you may know, if you follow the news, where there was a clash, no, I would say confrontation, but it was more like two groups kind of, and there was some animosity. A lot of young kids were in in this case, the Make America Great Again they were pretty much antagonizing some Native Americans. And so there are of course, other people saying that it was the opposite, that the Native Americans were antagonizing these young kids. Doesn't matter. That's not the point here. I'm trying to determine who is at fault or who wasn't. I personally believe that it was a bit disrespectful from these kids, the way they did it, even if they were antagonized by the Native Americans, which I don't believe, but everybody has their own opinion. I don't think it was the right way for them to pretty much stand up. And there was there's a clip with a young man standing right in front of a Native American man who happens to be a veteran of Vietnam, which in my opinion makes him a great American. And of course there was some back and forth, and there's a lot of stuff that has happened online. That's not the subject here. That's not what I want to bring up, and I don't want to just side with anyone here, because that's not the point. But there's something that I want to point out, and that's the reason of this podcast today, and it's about respect. It's about the lack of respect in our society today. Now, this is not something that is new. This is not something that is just happens just now and it hasn't happened before. There is a problem that we're facing. I don't want to say only in America, but I think worldwide. And that's the problem. There is a lack of respect of opinions, lack of respect of people. And it happens a lot in the different forums and in different communities that I'm part of. As a comic book reader, as a person that watch movies, as a person that play video games, you can see that there is a lot of trolling. There is a lot of people really online, really kind of coming just to make arguments and trying to find always a way to argue with people and fight with people, which becomes tiresome, and it becomes something that is really sad to see, that people are constantly fighting with other people or disagreeing with people or showing their discomfort or disagreements in ways that are definitely disrespectful. And I believe that that's something that is sad to see, and that's something that needs to go away in order for any community to really have or any hobby as a whole to be an enjoyable experience. And that's the problem. I think that's one of the biggest problems. I see that in statue collecting. I see that in video game places. I see that when I'm pretty much playing online with other people. There's always this people arguing, fighting, and cussing each other out, and people are making fun of other people's races or nationalities or whatever, if they're women or not. You see that in the forums. You see that everywhere. It's like seems people feel that everything is a soapbox for them to stand up and express how dissatisfied with their lives, and the only way to do it is just by blaming somebody else for their misfortune or their mistakes. And I believe that that's the saddest thing about social media. Now, we can find someone to blame, and that's something that we normally do. People say, well, social media is the problem. Social media is the one causing all the problems in the world. It's social media, social media, social media. The bottom line is social media has nothing, is not the reason why people act the way they are, because people by nature are that way. They're doing it on their own accord. It's their own actions, their own words. It's not social media forcing you to do it. Yes, social media gives you a picture of the world where you can see things and compare things, and you can express your opinion. But that doesn't mean that social media is forcing you to behave, to act, to do this way. It is you. It is me, the ones at fault here. And I believe that the problem is that we can say, oh, this young generation doesn't respect people anymore. This young generation is not there, really cares for people anymore. Bottom line is the young generation just follows the footsteps of the generation that was before. Our kids are a reflection of us. We are a reflection of our parents. And whether it's good or bad, whether we are there or not, whether we have done the right thing or not, they still see how we do. They express what we say. If we are disrespectful towards people because of their race, because of their nationality, because of their political beliefs, because of their social beliefs, religious beliefs, they're going to reflect the same thing because they have seen it all along since they were babies, since childhood. They have seen us doing the same thing. So yes, we as parents, we have an effect. We as parents, we are the reflection of the world. We are the reflection of our parents, and they are the reflection of us. And that's the reason why we live in it. And that's the sad part. As any community, whether it's gaming, whether it's comic book stories, all of that, there's always going to be disparity. There's always going to be people that disagree with you one way or another. They might not see things the way you see it. They might not really support your beliefs, and they might completely disagree with you. However, that doesn't give them the right to mock you or to judge your life, whatever they think they know. And that doesn't give you the right to do the same thing to them, whether you agree with them or not. We're all guilty. I have done the same thing. Many times I've followed the same path. I have mocked people. I'm not going to say that I'm free of sin of this. No, because I think one way or another, we have participated in really extending this pretty much lifestyle that we have nowadays of, you disagree with someone, then mock him, just make fun of them, make fun of their race, make fun of their color, their stature, their weight, make fun of their face, make fun of that. And, we have to be very careful. We live in a time where everything is so politically charged. And a lot of people are afraid to say certain things. But at the same time, this always has to be a way to say something. Just simply, I think we misunderstand the reality what freedom is all about. Freedom is not just for you to do whatever you please, whatever you want, and express your feelings or your emotions, regardless of the consequences. No, I think freedom means that you have a responsibility to really do right, of others. You have a choice. You have to make a moral choice, whether you want to be pretty much an a-hole, or you want to be the right person, or you want to be a good person, or whether you want to be the bad person or the bad guy. Just because you are correct or you think you are correct doesn't mean that everyone sees things the same way you do. And you have to respect others for their beliefs, and that thing that brings peace, among everything. I think we can still coexist, because people say, well, can we live in coexistence? Can we come together as a community? Can Marvel fans can come together with DC fans? Can Sideshow fans can come together with XM fans? Can, I don't know, whatever, can, COD, Call of Duty people can come together with Battlefield fans. You never know. At the end of the day, we all share the same likes, the same hobbies, the same passions. Statue collectors love statues. Regardless, Marvel, DC fans, we all love comics. We all love the same, comic movies, whether it's Marvel, DC. Gamers, we love gaming, whether we prefer one franchise over the other. So we have to make a decision, and it has to be really a smart decision, and it has to be sometimes, it's tough, but we have to walk the high road. We have to choose the high road and say, you know what, I'm not going to be like everyone else. I'm just going to be, my person, myself, and I'm going to help people. And I have to listen. And you know what? Sometimes listening breaks those barriers, barriers in our lives, barriers in communities, barriers in opinion. And sometimes we can see things. I can tell you one thing. When I was younger, I was more, I would say more black and white than what I am now. I'm more gray, I would say, nowadays. But it's not because I've just sold out my beliefs. No, it's not. I'm pretty much I sold them and I'm done with them. No, I have learned, I have matured, I have recognized that a lot of things that I thought were right, as I grew older, as I mature, have become less important, And for example, and that happens with comics. I talk about comics. I come with rants with comics, and you heard that, but that doesn't mean that I totally against comics. Even some writers of some stuff, some stuff of course doesn't sell well in comics, and I can give my opinion based on my experience. But at the end of the day, just because I don't enjoy something doesn't mean that someone else doesn't. And just because I don't like modern comics doesn't mean that a lot of young people love newer comics. We have difference of opinion, and that depends on an age gap, and how old we are and which generation we grew up. But it's important to do that. I grew up in a different generation, and a generation that respect was everything, and honor was everything. Honoring elders, honoring the people that were different than us. It was always all about respect, the authority. It seems that has gone out the window nowadays. That doesn't mean that we can make a difference. Just because the world is the way it is right now doesn't mean that we can continue the same path that the world is going. You can be different, and you can make a difference. And the way you start making a difference, first of all, is starting at home, respecting your spouse, respecting your children, and teaching them values, honor, respect, love. And that will expand, that will extend. That's the way you plant your seed and extends to the rest of the world. Is it easy? No, it's not. We live in a world full of bullies, and it's always been the case. And that's what always superhero stories always stand the ground is against bullies. And we have to stand our ground for what is right and for what is wrong, and from any injustice in this world. And that's one reason why I'm not really happy seeing these young kids, disrespecting this old man, whether the old man started or not. It was not their place. But that is a reflection of their parenting, and that's a reflection of, and sometimes it's not, because sometimes even you teach your kids the right way and they still follow other paths. But we cannot blame social media for that. At the end of the day, it is our responsibility and it is our fault. So what do you think about it? I would like to hear it. Again, thank you. I know we might not agree on everything. I respectfully disagree. You respectfully disagree. As long as we do it, again, respectfully, I think we can have a long conversation. So once again, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching this video. Please stay connected to this channel. Please follow me and the different platforms. Follow the Facebook page. The link is below. JP Sarri Reviews. You can also follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and all the different platforms. All the links down below. Please consider supporting this channel through Patreon. And once again, thank you and God bless you. I'll talk to you again. Bye-bye.